Welcome back to the program. So, one of you who has been with me for a very long time, years and years and years, joins me all the time Thursday nights, reached out to me and said that they were having a problem getting onto the site and they were having issues. So, for this weekend, I will give free shows that were not behind a paywall because it's not about the money, it's about the message. And I want to make sure that my audience has a chance to see the show. You know, I have said for the longest time that truth is the new hate speech. I said that back in 2017, 2018. I talked about how in times of universal deceit, telling the truth becomes a revolutionary act. The further a society drifts away from that truth, the more they will hate those that speak it. And now, here we are, years later, everything coming to fruition. The interesting thing is that Turning Point USA has grown exponentially since the widow, Erica, gave that wonderful speech. 9,000 more applications. 9,000 for college chapters. You can't kill freedom. You can't kill the truth. And yes, this sick bastard may have killed Charlie. But as I say, you can't kill the truth. And Charlie will endure. Charlie will live on. And he will live on in the hearts and minds of many people that not only followed him, agreed with him, and loved him, but more importantly were messengers of his voice. Echo chambers of the truth. And those are the folks that will carry on that message. Now, I want to bring this to your attention because it is important. There is a website called fightforcharlie.com. Fight for F-O-R, Charlie.com. And on that website, you will find the ability, if you would like, and if you have the ability to do so, join at the funeral. The funeral will be Sunday, September 21st, I believe. Yes. And it starts at 8 a.m. Doors open. The ceremony starts at 11 a.m. And it is at the Arizona Cardinals Stadium, which is also known as State Farm Stadium. I will be there. My wife will be there. President Trump will be there. And it's going to be a hard Sunday. A real hard Sunday. It's going to be very emotional. But we have to pay respects. So if you can, if there's a way you can, I know many of you are far away, join and come to the funeral if at all possible. Again, fightforcharlie.com. Fightforcharlie.com is the website. Now, again, as I was saying, you can't kill freedom. You can't kill this movement. This movement is growing. Listen to this. There were 9,000 college chapters and 1,100 high school chapters before this. Okay? On, again, 850 colleges. So multiple chapters on college campuses. They have received 18,000 18,000 new chapter requests. 18,000. There was 9,000 before Erica made that beautiful speech. 18,000 more. Brave, young, energetic, America-loving, freedom-tasting patriots. Young, impressionable young people wanting to spread Charlie's message, the message of freedom and liberty and prosperity, anti-government, pro-life principles, closed borders, law and order, and above all, a faith in a higher power than us, a faith in God, a faith in the Almighty. And we, together, are going to continue to crush the left. We are going to crush the left for years to come. I don't know these people and who these people are that are offering their services to start these chapters, but all I can say from the bottom of my heart is thank you. And God bless each and every one of you for doing that. I want to see more. I want to see 100,000, 200,000, 300,000. Hell, let's get to 1 million. Let's get to 1 million chapters. Imagine that. Imagine the youth vote running 75, 80% for Republicans, active and engaged and ready to fight for their future and their country. That's what I want to see. And I'm going to do whatever I can to help support that. So that's quite amount. That is a huge amount. They struck down one soul to crush a revolution, but their folly has unleashed a tidal wave. Behold, 18,000 chapter requests have surged forth, each a blazing torch of defiance, with every chapter wielding 50 to 100 fearless warriors. Let us, in true conservative spirit, humbly claim 75 per bastion. That's 1,350,000 new Charlie Kirks, rising like the phoenix, each carrying a righteous chip on their shoulder and a divine angel on the other, ready to storm the gates of tyranny in honor of the indomitable, the unforgettable, and the courageous Charlie Kirk. May he rest in peace. So I wanted to start with that. The next thing I want to talk about is the latest developments. So we heard about the fact that there was these trans nasty things written on the guns and the cartridges and things like that. Well, perhaps this person might not have been trans, but it turns out, and I'm not telling you anything you don't know because it's all over social media, he was living with another man pretending to be a woman. And apparently this is the person who helped turn him in. So there was two things that happened. This person who was living with him was asked, and they have police records and they have phone communications, text messages, all of that. This person's cooperating with the authorities. Basically showed them the truth that this Tyler Robinson told this freak Twigs, which we'll get into, to help him hide the gun and to stash a gun in the bushes, in a towel, and all that. So it's dead to rights. They have him. Now the question is, who else is involved? Is it just the roommate? What about the people on social media that were saying, just wait until tomorrow in the event that's going to happen at the college? What about Sky Valadez, who had a SoundCloud song called Charlie Kirk Dead at 31? Is that just a coincidence? Of course not. The fact that there was people behind Charlie that had a baseball hat on. He pulls his hat down. He pulls his ear. Rubs his arm. Next thing you know, the question about gang violence. Charlie says, well, is that including gang violence or just regular violence? And boom. And the question before that was on transgender violence. And I think Charlie said, how much, or too much, I think is what he said. All I can say is there's a lot of people out there that have been awoken. And maybe there were some passenger seat conservatives, we'll call them, instead of being in the driver's seat. Many passive people that knew things were off, knew things were wrong, were happy that Trump won, but they went about their daily lives as everyone is going through and doing. But you know what? If we all take a little bit of time, even the people that are not civically engaged in this process, just take a little bit of time and devote it to your country, whether it be door knocking, whether it be starting a chapter, whether it be becoming a precinct committee member in your local district, whether it be running for office, state board, board of directors, city council, student council, whatever. We have got to devote our time and attention to the cause of freedom. Because as the great Ronald Reagan once said, freedom is not passed down through the bloodstream. It has to be fought for over generations. And if we're not willing to fight for that, then America will no longer be free. And I will not live in an America that does not have freedom. I can tell you that. So, and I know all of you won't either. So collectively, we're going to do what we need to do. Now, getting back to this story. So apparently, 22-year-old wannabe professional gamer who lived with the assassin had text messages that led to Tyler Robinson's arrest. Lance Twiggs turned over Tyler Robinson, who lived with him in a 3-bedroom apartment in St. George, Utah. Now, this Tyler Robinson, he is going to be put to death, or he's going to kill himself before the trial because he's probably a coward, and that's usually what they do. But St. George, Utah, just in case you don't know where that is or whatever, it is literally almost right on the border of Arizona. It's way up top near Page, Arizona. And a couple more miles, if this was an event in Arizona, he might not be looking at the death penalty. But because he was in Utah, and that's when where it happened, death penalty, and that's exactly what Governor Cox has said that they are seeking when they are prosecuting here. Twiggs showed police text messages from Robinson about stashing the gun linked to the shooting in a towel, in a bush, in the woods. Okay? So his identity was revealed as separate reports emerged from Fox and the New York Post, which stated that Robinson was living with a transgendered partner who is cooperating with the investigation. It is unclear if Twiggs is the person referenced in the reports and has not been named as a suspect as of yet in the affidavit. His grandfather, Jerry Twiggs, told the Daily Mail that he was unable to comment on rumors that his trans son or grandson was transgendered or not. You know, there's pictures of this kid, and this kid looks basically normal when he was younger. Okay. Looks like he was doing something with the Boy Scouts, something like that. He looked like came from a good family. And all of a sudden, in the last 2 to 3 years, which is when the rhetoric about everyone who's conservative, everyone that doesn't agree with these left-wing trans radical scumbags and weirdos, all of a sudden, the radicalization sets in. I mean, the shooter came from a Mormon family, conservative, Republicans, parents, Republicans, father, Republican, everyone Republican. He was the only one that they say was a leftist. And the leftism and the radicalism started about 2 years ago. And when did the left really start to push this trans testicle freak, whatever you want to call it, ideology? About 2 to 3 years ago. So this is why, they have blood on their hands, okay? The media has blood on their hands. Hollywood has blood on their hands. The NFL, the NBA, NHL, all of them, every single sports league, politicians, Democrats and politicians, of course, media figures, ABC, NBC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, all of them. You are all responsible and have blood on your hands. You helped facilitate the murder of Charlie Kirk. That's not hyperbole or opinion. That's absolute fact. And our FBI and Department of Justice and Criminal Division should devote an entire team to going through nothing but politicians and media figures, going through their social media and watching interviews that they gave. And anyone that said anything about Charlie Kirk in which they called him a threat to the country or a fascist or a Nazi should be charged. That's right, charged with U.S. Code 18373, incitement to violence, which is a felony. You want to clean this stuff up? You start arresting and prosecuting every single person that said something demonically sick and incitement of violence against him. And guess what? Things will change. Things will change in a hurry at that point. We are going to survive. We are going to continue to move forward. None of us are going to be quiet. None of us are going to retreat and surrender. In fact, we're going to get louder. We're going to get meaner. We're going to get nastier. We're going to get more bold, more brave, more in your face. And we will never, ever, ever back down. Because there is no other alternative. It's freedom. And that's it. We will never live in tyranny in this country. Ever. And we will do everything in our powers. Because there is no alternative. There is one option. And that one option is freedom and liberty. Nothing else. And we will maintain that no matter what. And so at this point right now, we are in mourning. And we are thinking about the loss of Charlie, what he meant to so many people, not just in this country. Right now there are South Korea is having rallies, London is having rallies, hell, even California, even left-wing California is having rallies for Charlie Kirk. There are vigils everywhere all around the country. He has touched so many lives. And he packed a lot in those 31 years. He truly, truly did. I was talking to my nephew today because more than likely I'm going to be doing some hits pretty soon on some media. And he knew Charlie and knew him well. You know, they were rivals in high schools. And they worked together, believe it or not, on the Bob Dole campaign. This is after Charlie did very well with the Mark Kirk campaign in Illinois. No relation to him. And from that, he kind of got a reputation as being a pretty good political savvy type of person. And so at the time, my nephew reached out to him. No one really knew who he was. He wouldn't have a big entourage or anything. And they met at a Red Robin, and they had a conversation. And it was funny because Charlie was talking about starting something, didn't know what it was going to be, what it was going to be called. But he told my nephew that, he doesn't drink, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't do drugs, he doesn't do anything. He's straight-laced, straight shooter. And he loves the Lord. And, he eats well. And he said, they're sitting there, and my nephew told me that they're sitting there and they're having their lunch, having a conversation. And it was interesting because my nephew's trying to say, hey, join the campaign for Bob Dole. And Charlie is saying, hey, join me with this idea that I have that kind of was in its very infantile stages, I guess is the best way to put it. And Charlie said to him, my body is my temple, so I eat well, and I eat good, and I exercise. And so he was having a salad, and my nephew said he just poured ranch dressing on it. Like, you could barely even see the salad. It was pouring ranch dressing on it. So I just thought that was kind of a funny personal story. But again, I'll say it. Look, they just sainted somebody, right? Made some kid that was like 15 years old a saint. I think they ought to have a Saint Charlie. I really, truly do. I think what he has been able to pack in those 31 years deserves it. It truly, truly deserves it. He truly deserves it. I think that he served a higher power for just about his entire life, and he did the right things, and he treated his wife well, and treated his family well, and certain people have that certain thing about them, and who knows? Maybe he will be sainted at some point, if that's the word. I'm not sure. But the last thing I want to do is cover this. I know this is a long one, 22 minutes. Is I was going through and I was reading his left-leaning, of course, they're all left-leaning, right? Wikipedia. And it just talks about his positions. And it's so funny how they still, even after he's dead, they're still attacking him on his Wikipedia site. It's unbelievable. So it says, Kirk's outspoken political activism received criticism and controversy. The New York Slimes said Kirk symbolized the Christian right. His rhetoric was described as divisive, racist, xenophobic, and extreme by groups that study hate speech, including the Southern Poverty Law Center. These are those scumbags that put me on the list back in, 2016, I think, is when I made their list, right? They called me a crazy and everything else. And then, of course, let's see, Republicanism, pro-Trump activism. Let's see, let's get into the false claims. Here you go. According to Forbes, Kirk was known for his reputation on liberal colleges to embrace pro-Trump conspiracy theories, right? They have to call it that. He promoted the cultural Marxism conspiracy theory. No. 90%, okay, maybe 80%, I'll be nice. 80% of professors on college campuses are true Marxists. That's not opinion or hearsay, that's fact, okay? They are anti-American, they are globalist, they hate Trump, and they don't like freedom of speech, okay? And many of them are terrorists. Why? Well, because if you're running around with your students screaming, Intifada, Intifada, coming to America, you're no longer a professor. You're now a terrorist, okay? Unreal. And so then it goes on to say, Kirk promoted the debunked claims about George Floyd. Well, let's call him who he really is. Fentanyl Floyd, not George. and that he was counterfeiting illegal currency. Well, that's exactly what happened. He was writing fake checks, and I think he tried to pass off fake counterfeit money. Then they say that it was conspiracy, that he put a gun to a pregnant woman's stomach. No, that's actually fact. That's in police reports, okay? There's nothing fake about that. The false claim that the medical examiner who performed the autopsy declared Floyd had died of an overdose. That is true. Look at the Hennepin County Medical Examiner's report, which I covered, and you will see that that is absolutely true. Then it says, let's see, I don't want to go through all of them, but it says that Kirk said that the U.S. Department of Justice shows that they were consistently involved in human trafficking. Well, when you have the borders wide open and people are coming into the country, many of those are being what? Human trafficked. So once again, bullshit. Unreal. So many of his positions, I would say 90% of his positions, I was right with him on. I really was. And that's why I say we are all Charlie Kirk at this point. Kirk spread false information and conspiracy theories about COVID-19 on social media platforms such as Twitter. He sharply criticized Democrats' criticism of Trump's withdrawal from the WHO and the funding and called COVID-19 the China virus. Everybody knew it came from China. There's nothing conspiratorial about that. Then he says that people should use an unproven, this is what it says, an unproven drug like hydroxychloroquine. Really, unproven? It was very proven. There was international studies done with 7,000 doctors that all came to the same consensus that yes, indeed, it killed the virus. It's been around for a long time to fight malaria, and it's an antiviral, and it worked. I mean, it's just amazing, if you read through this. I don't want to go through the whole thing, but so many of the things that they said, that he said, I agree with. So many of them. From open borders, to being pro-life, to being for law and order, for saying that you can't just decide what gender you are. I mean, of course, there's only two genders. I mean, think of how insane the left is. They took an extremely rare birth defect. Rare. 1 in millions probably. Intersex. Hermaphrodite. Right? And they took that. And they turned that into a political ideology and orientation. That is some pretty serious mental illness. So, in closing, we have a fight on our hands. We have a fight to get the truth out to as many people as humanly possible. We have a fight to make sure that our elections are secure and fair, and that we make sure there's no cheating, and then we grow our numbers, and we expand our reach, and we expand globally, for that matter, not just America, but everywhere. We spread freedom. We spread the message of freedom. And it's sad because right now, as President Trump is in office, and we are getting to a point of much more freedom and limited government, what is happening around the world? Look at the UK. They're knocking on people's doors for things that are put on X. Look at Brazil. Look at so many of these other countries. South Korea, folks. South Korea is a problem. South Korea is turning into the CCP. Okay? They're going after pastors. They're going after Christians. They're going after people that have Bibles. They stole their power in South Korea. They're taking over businesses, and the government is now running it. South Korea is no longer South Korea. And it's really, really frightening what is happening over there. Because if you lose South Korea, now you have a 3-headed snake monster with the middle of that head being the CCP and the other head being North Korea. And now, God forbid, the other head being South Korea. We are in dangerous, dangerous times. Thank God President Trump is in office. And thank God there are so many wonderful patriots out there that have now been awoken. And as they are been awoken, they need to become active. And it certainly looks as though, from the numbers coming out of Turning Point, that it has indeed been a turning point. Those are my thoughts. What are yours? Put them down in the comments below. See you in the next one.